Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to episode 38 of the Daily List Report. Today is a day of giving. We are on day 3 of our Stand and Salute Extreme Ownership Week. We have what a wonderful lineup of guests we've already had. We have some great guests coming up. Today is about giving. As Mary Maloney said yesterday, we are all in the same storm, but we are not all in the same boat. I love that quote. And today, I'm going to bring Wessal back on as my co-host. So Wessal, why don't you join me here on screen and say hello to our agentpreneurs?
Hello again, agentpreneurs. So happy to be back. Thank you for having me again, Randy. It's been really fun co-hosting all these incredible guests this week, and I cannot wait for today for a lot of personal reasons.
Oh, today is going to be great. I'm going to give a couple quick reminders, Wessal, as we get kicked off here. The first one is that, remember, we have a contest going. We have 5 signed copies of Extreme Ownership, signed by Jocko Willink himself. And if you go to our Facebook page and you click on this Enter to Win button on the bottom of the left, you can enter. Oh, Wessal's actually got her book up right now. I'm going to pull that up as well. Wessal,
sorry, guys, this is mine, okay? I've been hanging on to this baby for at least 2 years now. This one's not for auction here, but we've got 5 other copies for everyone with Jocko's signature for you guys.
So visit our Facebook page, the Daily List Report on Facebook. You can enter to win. You can actually enter once a day this week, right up until Friday. And then next Monday, we're actually going to announce the winners. So make sure you do that. That's going to be awesome. So Wessal, what are we doing today? Before I get to the headlines, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing today. And the guests that we have coming on, this is going to be really fun.
This is a wonderful day. This day is actually where we got the name of the theme for this entire week, Stand and Salute. Today we're bringing on the leaders of one of the organizations represented in a group of 7 different local organizations that support the military. So today is about service and standing up and saluting the people that we are doing this for. This week, as you recall, is about us remembering and observing all those who've served and sacrificed on behalf of every one of us as Americans leading up to Memorial Day, a day of remembrance and observation. Every day we thought we'd bring you these tremendous speakers and influencers that serve the military, served in the military, actively serve clientele that are veterans or active duty military. Today's no different. The organizations that are here today are helping our military families in need right now, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. And we wanted to highlight them and offer this information about what they do to each of you out there and your spheres of influence, so that if you feel so compelled to contribute and support them like we do, that you have an opportunity to do so virtually. And so we're so excited to bring those leaders on today, and we'll talk more about who's coming on in a minute.
And we've got a nice little comment, I should say, from Carrie White, who says, "Thank you, List Reports, for supporting such an important nonprofit. Very cool." So that's a great way to start this off. A little bit of love from our audience. So Carrie, thank you so much for that comment. Yes.
Thanks, Carrie. Yeah, this is going to be a special day, but there's a lot of value that's going to come out of today. And so let's get right into it. I'm ready to do this. All right.
Absolutely. So Wessal, why don't you go ahead and introduce Laura, and then we'll bring her on the screen in just a moment here.
Yeah, sure. So, there are a lot of nonprofits that I'm sure every one of us on this call today gathered together is really passionate about supporting for various reasons, our own personal passions, right, in life. For me personally, over the years, having worked with Veterans United Home Loans over the years, as you guys know, and supported the military and had a very large foundation where we had the opportunity to evaluate, pick, and fund hundreds of nonprofits in every single state in America. I personally got the opportunity to meet a lot of the leaders of those organizations. And probably 6 or 7 years ago, I got to support the Enlisted Project's leaders in person. And I personally decided to volunteer for that organization because of not just the way that they took extreme ownership over a massive problem that affected our junior enlisted military, but because the human beings that are running that organization are the people I want to be around and learn from. And as you know, that's really important to us here. We love the idea of ultra learning and surrounding ourselves with people who are of service, who motivate us to do better and be better in life. The people at this organization that we're going to bring on today are just that. And they have taken that organization and grown it over the years into something that is making a tremendous impact on the lives of our military families. And this organization is Support the Enlisted Project. I'm very proud to say I serve now on the board of directors for the organization, and I have been a volunteer for them. And I want to be clear. for all of our real estate agents out there listening to this organization's funding that comes to support the Enlisted project predominantly goes to stopping housing crisis that these people face. So a lot of the dollars that these organizations raise end up going to stop foreclosures or homelessness for active duty military families. We're talking young, junior enlisted, active duty people defending our country that have a problem paying for their own housing. So this is a very near and dear topic for all of us on this call. And so today we're bringing on Laura White, who's going to be our first speaker, who's the Director of Development for Support the Enlisted Project, who's also representing a few other organizations who are part of a 24-hour virtual fundraising event called Stand and Salute. Laura's going to come on and introduce us to the notion here, how we can all get involved, how anyone on this call who's hearing this can support this organization, and for her to explain to us the impact that they're going to have once we raise this money today. And of course, right, that is what we're looking for. Real quick on Laura, and you guys know I love badass female leaders. Laura is one of them. We had on Mary yesterday, Navy veteran herself. I like the idea that, female leaders happen anywhere, whether or not they've ever served in the military. I've not, but I'm a civilian passionate about our military. I think Laura is the same way. Laura is an amazing person. She's one of those ladies who was named a mover and shaker in San Diego Metro Magazine, top 25 people to watch in San Diego County, Women Who Mean Business in the San Diego Business Journal. And she's been in the professional fundraising and nonprofit space being of service to her communities for over 17 years. So I would love to welcome to our show today, Laura White, Director of Development at Support the Enlisted Project.
All right, Laura, you are on screen. Say hi to everybody.
Awesome. Hi, you guys.
Hi, Laura.
That was a great introduction, Wessal. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Done.
Yeah, this is we really appreciate you guys having us on. And I too am a civilian, Wessal. My father was in the Army. But growing up here in San Diego in a military town, right next to Camp Pendleton, right next to super cute Marines when I was a teenager, with their head shaved, I definitely have valued and appreciated our military, but didn't really understand some of the situations we put them in until I came to work here at STEP. And so I talk about valuing and appreciating what we do for our military families. It's been huge. So we're really thrilled to be on here today. Thank you.
Great. Laura, why don't you kick this off, and why don't you talk a little bit about what this fundraiser is, where the money goes?
Sure.
I'm actually going to pull you up right next to the donation website, and we're going to post a link to this in our comments so everyone can access it. So I've got that up next to you. So why don't you talk to us about the program?
Sure. So Stand and Salute is a 24-hour matching gift campaign where 7 organizations that serve military and veteran families throughout the entire country, happen to be located here in Southern California, are coming together as a group. We all have a common denominator, right, to support active duty and veteran families. Some of these organizations deal with things like mental health services, housing, workforce, and really making sure they're connecting their veterans and their active duty to their community, making sure that the community knows that they're there and wrapping their arms around and supporting them. So this is the campaign sponsored by the Orange County Community Foundation that's allowing us, using their platform, using their resources, to come together and then go out to the community and say, hey, we're here and we need your support, especially right now. This COVID-19 has really put a lot of pressure on our families, even more so. We're seeing a lot of spouses being laid off, and that spouse income in Southern California, you all know the housing market. You all know you're buying a condo for $500,000, not a mansion here in Southern California. And so that income is really important. And so seeing these spouses being laid off, they're seeing all sorts of new problems, childcare, and financial issues. So we're working with the organization 2110C, connecting veterans with services, Bob Hope USO. You all know the USO. They're all over the world. Strength and Support, Strong Families, Strong Children, OC Goodwill. You guys know the Goodwill. Working Wardrobes, making sure that our veterans have the right things that they need when they're going out and interviewing. So yeah, just a bunch of really awesome organizations. And our goal, STEP's goal, is $50,000 minimum. Our internal goal, don't tell anyone this, but our internal goal is $75,000, which that's a secret. So $50,000. If we can raise $25,000, we have a really great family organization here in the Zabel family that's going to match it with $25,000. So that's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Got to
amazing.
get there.
Yeah.
Especially with that
real
match.
quick, I just want to pull up a comment because this is timely. This is the benefit of a live show. Shannon Burmaster says, my husband is a veteran and I'm supporting Stand and Salute. We hope we can reach this goal to help our military veterans and their families. Thank you, everyone. Shannon, thank you so much for sharing that. That's fantastic.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah.
So Laura, talk to us about how we can actually go about making a donation or supporting the initiatives, because it's obvious that we're all very fortunate right now, sitting here comfortably, able to, tune in with our coffee at 11 a.m. and see what's going on virtually in the world, while we see that those who are actively serving and defending that freedom that we have are struggling, right? So we have an obvious way for us to very simply support them. Can you walk us through how we can do that?
Sure. So this is a worldwide pandemic, right? This is affecting everyone. We're all kind of learning as we go, trying to figure out some of these new norms. And some people are really struggling. They've lost their jobs. They potentially have lost their companies and their careers. So how it affects the military is, you all heard about in the news. It's not a secret. The USS Roosevelt, they had some viruses and over 900 tested positive. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of families at home worried about their sailor. And so those families were asked to quarantine and not go anywhere, literally not go anywhere, because if they get sick as the childcare provider, then we have a childcare crisis, right? We have two sick parents, one away, one here. And so there's a lot of ways that we've been able to step up and support these families. And one of this is going to be through this campaign, because we'll be able to reach even more families. You're going to go to our website, stepsocal.org/SS, Stand and Salute. And there you'll see some information and a video, and then the link to make that donation directly. So as soon as you put in $50, it's going to be matched $50. Amazing. And as the development director, I have to admit, I'm constantly refreshing. I've got it on my phone, constantly refreshing, going, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, another donation. So it's really an exciting time in our campaign, and it's fun to see people from all over the U.S. Doing what they can. We're at home. Some of us are limited of what we're able to give back right now. And so it's nice to be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Well, Laura, I actually just refreshed the page from about 30 minutes ago and went from 11,000 to 18,768. So
wow,
that's pretty cool.
Great. Yeah. We're making progress.
We're making really good progress. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. So let me bring you all back on the screen here. And one second here. There we go.
Did we pull up that link for our viewers, Randy? Do they have access to it now?
Yeah,
okay, wonderful.
We're posting the link. I showed it on air as well, and so we're going to make sure we can direct as many people to that as possible. Laura, one of the really interesting things for me personally is, I have some military in my family, not a lot. My father served. My brother-in-law, Lieutenant Colonel John Boyer, was on Monday, and he led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He's currently deployed at Shaw Air Force Base, and he was in uniform and there were jets flying over, and it was just amazing. I think the reality for me, though, right, is that, Wessal was very infectious, right, in her love for the military and giving really kind of caught fire, I think, within our company. And we had a chance to host some great people last year. And it's just, I don't know, it's interesting for me to see, for those of us who haven't served, right, the heart that people like you and Wessal and those who have served, like Tony and others, right, have for this great cause. And the fact that if you're in the military, you have to serve, right? You have to move when you have to move, right? You don't have the same freedom and flexibility that a lot of us may in our current lives.
Absolutely.
And so, you know what I mean? And so it's something that's just been really amazing. And so we had a conversation within the company about this, and we've been very committed to this cause. And as we talk about this idea of extreme ownership this week, and again, I'll requote this, as Mary Maloney said yesterday, we're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat, is that we feel grateful, right? Isn't that such a great quote?
It's a great quote.
Great quote. So I'm pretty sure everyone's going to borrow that. I think it's a great mantra, actually, right, for this time in particular. And so what I wanted to share, and then Wessal, you can follow with words, is that we've decided to make a donation. And so we're going to give $2,500 right now to this fundraiser.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much.
Of course. And because of the matching funds, that's going to turn into $5,000. So
yes, it
that's
is.
pretty amazing, right?
That's
Great.
really amazing. Yeah, you guys, and that's really leading by example too. And so we're so grateful. We're a privately run organization, which means all of our dollars, every single dollar, goes to is privately run. No state funds, no federal funds. We have 11 staff members, and in the last 2 months, we've served 5,500 families.
Wow.
So every dollar
incredible.
is being put to good use. Yes, 11 staff members. We have quite a few volunteers too, which is amazing.
That's
but 11
amazing.
staff members, and so I can't tell you how grateful we are for this gift. And really quickly, if you don't mind, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our program. So because we're unique here in Southern California. So our program is really about promoting financial self-sufficiency, financial responsibility and self-sufficiency for the long term. So we have families, like you said, Randy, that are often asked to do things, move really quickly, really unexpectedly, and are also asked to serve at pay rates that many of us wouldn't be able to survive on in Southern California. They're asked to do a lot with a little. And so what happens is they find themselves sometimes in financial situations that they can't get out of. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and an emergency back at home in Ohio, a family member that's ill, a transition goes out on your only car, and all of a sudden you start spiraling out of control financially, right? And I don't know about you guys, but if I was 19 or 20 in the military and had to make really important financial decisions, it wouldn't go very well. I would have to been at step every month. It's just not something we learn about growing up, that financial responsibility, right? And so what we do is they come here, they're able to apply for financial support, and we work with them on that long-term financial self-sufficiency solutions while also ensuring they do not lose a paycheck. So what that basic need looks like often is housing, like Wessal said. So about 50% of our veteran cases really support housing, no evictions. To date,
and Laura,
none of them have lost that.
That is actually why it is not surprising that a large number of our donors and volunteers, Randy, are actually real estate agents and mortgage loan officers and in the industry, because of course everyone in our industry is very passionate about allowing this amazing group of people to own a piece of the country that they serve and defend for us, right? And so we're very, very familiar with real estate agents and loan officers at this nonprofit that very much support STEPS initiatives, because you guys are local real estate agents. You are local. You are members of your local neighborhoods and local communities, and the veterans and active duty military in your local communities make the whole thing tick, right? And we have to be there for them like they are for us. And so this is very much an easy organization to get passionate about in real estate.
That's fantastic.
It is. And a success story for us is a family that came to us in financial crisis, and a year or two later is on their way to buying their first home.
Oh, it's such a rewarding thing. It's amazing work that you're doing. I'm glad we could make a small contribution.
It's a big contribution. That's a big contribution. Thank you so much, you guys.
No,
and your whole team.
Thank you for what you're doing,
everyone's
Laura.
behind it. Everyone's behind it. So absolutely. Laura, if you don't mind, we've got this stand-in salute, right? But I'm a civilian and I don't know how to salute. So do you think you might have someone who can help us out with this?
I think I might have someone. I'm a civilian as well, as I said. And apparently it's quite technical, and it takes a little while to learn, and you definitely don't want to get it wrong. So one of our team members, Tracy Owens, retired lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy, 30 years. So she's continuing her service. She retired in 2018, and she decided to continue her service by joining our team. So we're really, really, really proud to have her on the team. She's our military liaison out in the community in Southern California. And I think she's here. She's going to join us and help us give a little tutorial on the best way to do it.
I've got her on the screen right now. For the first time, we have 4 people on the screen at once.
Yay!
So this is a milestone for us.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today.
No, thank you for being here. Thank you
everyone.
For your service. Yes.
My name is Tracy Owens. As Laura mentioned, I served 30 years in the military, Navy. I didn't think I was going to stay that long. My plan was to do 4 years and get out. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story about that. I got to boot camp and they told me I wanted to be a hospital corpsman and go into the medical field. And my recruiter said, gosh, it's about 19 months for you to get into corpsman school. So here's a little trick. You go in undesignated, and at the end of boot camp, they'll ask you what you want to do, and it's kind of a back door in, but it happens faster. I said, oh, great. That sounds good. So I was on a bus 30 days later, flying to San Diego, or driving to San Diego to fly to Florida for boot camp. Made it through boot camp, and I will tell you, they never asked me that question. No one ever mentioned, what do you want to do? So they made me a boiler technician. I was on a steam-driven ship in a fire room in an all-male department. So I was the only female in the division, and it was I was a cheerleader and a lifeguard before I came in the Navy. So that tells you I wasn't really cut out for that.
Wow.
But one day I met this warrant officer, and he looked at me and he said, hey, kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? I said, I am getting out. I'm getting out at my 4-year mark. I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to be a nurse. And he saw something in me that day. He said he saw something, and he asked me what he could do to make me stay. So I wanted to go into legal, and he helped get me there. I put in a package. I was accepted. I'm still friends with him today. He's a Vietnam veteran, and I'm proud to have served with him. But I got into the legal field, shot up through the ranks, picked up chief petty officer, and then commissioned into the LDO program. So I am a Navy Mustang. And I have served on 3 aircraft carriers and a submarine tender. And in almost all communities there were. So surface, aviation, ordnance, EOD, the Seabees, and naval aviation. So I got around.
That's a
So you're going to be able to
story.
tell us, you're the legit, you're the one that's going to be able to really show us how to salute.
Okay, so I am going to do, obviously I would be standing up tall, but I'm going to sit as tall as I can to get the point across. So I'm going to do a salute, and then I'll explain it, and then I'm going to challenge you to salute with me. So here we go. So as you can see, the salute, your back will be straight, your shoulders will be square, your fingers will be together, your thumb tucked in, and your eyes will remain forward. Everybody got it?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Here's your chance. I'm going to say hand salute, and then I'd like for everybody to salute with me.
Okay,
Ready?
we're all on the screen right now.
Ready. We're ready.
Yay! Good job, everyone.
Did we do it?
Is there a trick to where you put the fingers, Tracy? Does it need to be eyebrow height? Is there some detail here?
You would have a cover. We call our hat cover in the military, which usually comes to about here. But it's right at the corner of your eyebrow. So your index finger should be at the corner of your eyebrow. You should be able to see the peripheral, from your peripheral vision, the palm of your hand. You want to make sure you don't hang your thumb down or stick your thumb up, because people make fun of you.
Right. Your thumb is tucked in, right? Underneath?
Well, I hope that helped. Want to try it again?
That was very
And salute.
Love it.
All right, Wessal, that's awesome.
We feel
what about
professional.
me?
I think yeah. Good job, Randy. I like it.
Go out in the world and stand and salute with step.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
You're
Absolutely.
a shining example of those who we are passionate about serving. Thank you so much for what you've done for our nation. What an amazing example and female leader that I'm so happy to have on today. Thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
So
One
much.
last thing. I could not be more passionate about the mission at STEP and the work that we get to do in the community. I am just really honored to be a part of the team.
We're honored to have you here today. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Well, that was great. Laura, we've got you back on the screen here. Yeah, she is legit.
Totally legit.
We've got a comment. Tracy Wynn says, quote, "This is an awesome way to support our military and vets. I'm going to donate now." So that's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy.
That's great.
I love. This is the best part of a live show, is to be able to see some of that interaction.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, that's
tremendous.
awesome.
All
So
right.
grateful for that.
Well, Laura, thank you. Any parting words for our agents here before we bring on our next guest, someone you're very familiar with?
Yeah, you guys, I know you're kind of watching from all over the country right now, but these servicemen and women come to Southern California from all over the country. Most of them are not from here. So your support through this campaign and throughout the year, and support your local organizations as well. But right now, stepsocal.org/SS, and we'd love to have you as part of this campaign and as a member of our STEP family. So, and ListReports, wow, Wessal, Randy, really truly leading by example, and we're so grateful to have you as members of our family too.
No, this is the
Thank
easy
you so
part.
much,
You're
Laura.
doing the hard work, and thank you for everything.
You
So
are.
thank you for joining us today.
Sure, you're welcome.
Tremendous.
All right. We'll
Thank
talk to
you,
you
Laura.
soon.
Take care, you guys.
Bye.
Great. I'm going to pull up a few more comments here with Saul before we move on. So
I know you get to
Mallory,
see all the fancy stuff happening. I don't get to see all the
Mallory
action.
says just donated. Heidi, I'm pulling this up, says donated with the hand raises. And Billy Joe Alexander just posted. It said, I'm a Gold Star family member and this is great. I will be donating too. So Billy Joe, just thank you. Mallory, Heidi, everybody. Thank you so much for participating today. This is really
wonderful.
I just feel so grateful to be able to do this, don't you? I feel like
I
we're
do.
the
It's so
lucky ones here.
impactful. I mean,
It really
every
is.
dollar that you make as a donation to a nonprofit obviously goes to good use, but there are certain organizations that are better stewards of dollars than others. And that is, again, one of the main reasons I selected to personally volunteer my time for Support the Enlisted Project. Check out Charity Navigator, which is the sort of, global rating system that explains how the money gets used when that comes in and how well they appropriate the money back into the community. STEP has a massive pull-through rate, if you will, on the percentage of every penny that goes in there going back to a military service member, an enlisted member of our active duty forces, right? This is an incredible opportunity to make an impact on the people who are keeping us safe right now, right?
Absolutely.
It just means so much to me personally, just as an American, leading up to Memorial Day. No better time than now to do what you can do from your chair, right? I think
Absolutely.
That's what we're all passionate about.
Jennifer, thank you for your donation as well. Oh, I love the momentum that we've got. Anybody else out there listening, go donate right now. This is great. So with that, we're obviously running long on our show today, but I guarantee it's already been worth it and it's going to be worth it. And so we're about to bring on actually the CEO and co-founder of STEP, Tony Teravainen. And Tony has an incredible background. I got a chance, I met him a few years ago, Wessal, thanks to a connection from you, but I had a chance to talk with him yesterday, and I cannot wait for him to tell his story of sort of even his childhood and how he got into the military. Prior to STEP, he was at Booz Allen Hamilton, which is a top consulting firm, and that's actually where he made his transition into the nonprofit world. And before that, he managed robotics and automation for a 1 million square foot manufacturing facility, and he was actually a submarine nuclear plant operations and repair in the U.S. Navy, and so he served on submarines, which I can't imagine a more challenging place to serve. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring Tony on air right now. So Tony, why don't you say hello to the agentpreneurs of ListReports?
Hey, agentpreneurs. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all today. Thanks, Randy and Wessal.
Oh, it's
Welcome,
our pleasure.
Tony.
This has been fun, right, Tony? You've been listening in this whole time, and donations are coming in, and you're proud of your team, I can imagine.
I'm very proud of this team. I've been proud of this team for a long time. It's taken us, we've been operating STEP now for 8 years, and it just seems like they just keep getting better and better and gelling more and more. And like y'all were talking about, the more, we're not in this because it's a cool job. We're not in this because it's an easy job. We're in this because we want to change people's lives, not just for today, but for the future. So bringing them, the opportunity for true ownership to their futures. And every dollar we raise helps us do that. So days like this are just magical for me.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's great. So, Tony, getting back to the theme of this week, right? Our theme is extreme ownership based on Jocko Willink's book. And what we've asked every guest to kind of kick off their segment is to say, what does extreme ownership mean to you? And you have a really cool story about how this was ingrained in you in a young age and then sort of forged right through your military career. But would love for you to talk to our agentpreneurs about what extreme ownership means to you.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. I thought about this a good bit, and I go all the way back to my childhood. I came into this job and I knew nothing about the nonprofit world. I had no idea that it was this giant industry. I could speak in public, but I wasn't like a motivational public speaker. I didn't know that 65% of my speaking should be about personal experiences. I'm like, I'm not sharing my personal experience. They're personal for a reason. That's why they call them personal. They're mine. I'm not going to share them. And as I've been leading this agency, and when I stepped down from Boost, from volunteer to full-time CEO, it was like, all right, well, now this is my new job. I have to go do this. I have to go get out in front of people. And I had to go learn how to connect with people, learn how to be a salesperson, learn how to express my emotions, and share my story in a pertinent way, not just ramble. And through that, people have asked me a lot of questions, similar to this. And I've done a lot of retrospective looking at my life. And I'll tell you, I came up with 4 things. I was right before COVID started. I had been asked to do a speech at USD, where I got my master's degree at. And it was canceled. Like literally, I was on my way to the dress rehearsal the night before it, and they said it's closed due to COVID. No speech. And I had the 7-minute speech all memorized and put hundreds of hours work into it.
Wow.
And it was interesting because the theme of this speech was, how I persevered to be successful. And I came up with 4 themes, and they were, I've always worked hard. I've always seized opportunities. I've always learned as much as I could, and that I never give up. Yeah. And really, I think that embodies not only how I've been successful in my life, but I think that carries over in what we're talking about, this extreme ownership. I learned at a very young age. There's no such thing as a free ride. My dad was a career military guy. He ran away from home at 17 from Brooklyn, New York. He joined the Air Force because he had a low draft number. He figured the Air Force would be safer than drafted into the Marine Corps. He was at school in Kansas, and he met my mom, who grew up in foster care in Wichita. 2 years later, they got 2 kids, and he's shipping off to Okinawa. And that was their mindset. They were just 2 people that scrapped it out and made it work. And as a kid, I remember my dad would drive a tow truck to work. And in the tow truck was vacuum cleaners. And after mom would put us to bed, she'd put her cocktail waitress outfit on or her donut making outfit, and she'd go to work, and she'd be home in time to get us fed and to school. And that was it. And that was the life we had. My dad was in golfing for a while and come wake me up at 4:00 in the morning to go. And we took a fan apart and took that metal piece off the front of the fan and hooked it up to a stick. And he made me crawl down in the lake, in the pond, in the golf course, and dig out a bunch of golf balls so he could go golfing. I mowed grass for a living, and he'd rent the lawnmower to me, and I had to pay for that. And I was thinking about my first car. It was $50 and didn't run, and it was all beat up. And I was an electrician at the time, and we found a guy that had an auto body shop in his backyard he just built for a side gig, and I wired it up, powered it up, and then we worked on my body work, and we got my engine running the same way. I got myself into college somehow, but just wasn't in the right mindset, and I knew there was no plan B. So after a semester at Old Dominion University, I was in the Navy recruiter's office, and I was talking to the guys, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. You'll teach me how to run a nuclear reactor. I can be on a submarine. You'll pay me for this, and you'll give me a place to sleep before Christmas when I go homeless because I'm getting kicked out of the dorms. And he said, yeah. And I'm like,
sweet deal.
I'm like, well, where do I sign? It was great. So yeah, sure enough, Christmas Eve, I was on train to boot camp, and I went to the nuclear power program, which at the time I was really clueless that it had a a 60% dropout rate through the program. I just knew there was no other option. Again, this was plan B. So I just had to get through this program. And when I got to my submarine, I was an electrician, and everything electrical on the boat was mine, plus the nuclear side and electro distribution side and all that business. And it really fit with the values that I had embodied, the ones I talked about working hard and never giving up and learning everything you can and seizing those opportunities, because that's what got me growing there in the Navy, and it got me off to a good start. And, you go out on a submarine, there's no chase vehicle. You got it. And you're supposed to have certain parts, and the people on that boat are supposed to know certain stuff, and there's no extra stuff. There's no extra people. There's no extra books. You just got to be able to do it. And, we were out at sea one time on a deployment, and we had a bearing that was going out on a very critical piece of equipment. And I was in charge of these repair parts and these control procedures, and I wrote this giant, like 2.5 inch thick procedure manual on how to do it with all the references. And I finally had to get approval from the captain. I went to see him in the stateroom, and we were talking through this, and he's like not even looking at the pages. He's just kind of looking at me, listening. And he just closed and he slides the book back to me, and he's like, "Just tell me one thing, Teravainen. Can you do it?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes, sir. We need to." And he's, no. Can you do it? Can you do this? And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I can." He said, "Well, go do it." And that was it. And I was up for the next 36 hours, and we got it done, and then we kept going with our mission. And that's really how my life has been going. It's funny, that was my first deployment, and we got back. My dad called me up, and he said, "How much money did you save?" And I said, I told him, I don't know, like $5,000 or $6,000. And I think my paychecks were like $300 or something, a pay period there. But I saved a bunch of money. I think we were gone 9 months at the beginning of Desert Storm. Literally picks me up the next night in the barracks in Norfolk, and starts driving me. And I'm like, "Where are we going?" He said, "We're going to see a lawyer." I said, "What's he going to do?" "He goes, you're buying a house." I'm like, "Really?" I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, "Wait, how much are my mortgage payments?" He said, $420. I'm like, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. And he goes, "It's a 3-bedroom. Get 2 roommates out of the barracks. Charge them $200 each." And I'm like,
"Wow.
Oh, yeah, that works." And
that's amazing. That's amazing.
And, that was kind of the upbringing I had.
Yeah.
Sadly, 8.5 years after I joined the Navy, I got medically disqualified for working on nuclear power and submarines, and I was out on my year. Again, no plan B. And I was talking to a friend, and he was talking to a recruiter. The guy's like, "Hey, that guy wanted to hire me, but my wife wants to move back to Texas." And I went and grabbed their recruiter. I'm like, "I did what he did." And the recruiter was like, "So you know how to fix robots?" I'm like, "Yes, I do."
Yes, I do. Hey, Tony, this is a good segue. Tony, real quick, before we get into this next phase of your story, I want to just give a quick fundraising update, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So Kristen Mitchell says, "Thank you for bringing this amazing organization onto the show. Just donated." Susan, so thank you, Kristen. Susan Zector says, "Just donated." And then this one's going to make me cry. Anita Finlay, who's my mom, said, "We are pledging $500, and we'll put a check in the mail today. Thank you for this important
Thank you, Mom.
opportunity."
Oh my goodness. Thank you,
Mom.
Anita. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
That is
That's
wonderful.
Randy's mom,
totally
Tony. Randy's mom,
That's
the
my
important
mom.
step.
Yeah,
I know. That's making me choke up a little too.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Tony,
so go ahead, Wessal.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony, you are no stranger to the notion of extreme ownership. And actually, when you mentioned those 4 points, it just reminds me of every single active duty person that I know. I mean, that just completely identifies the military. I mean, that attitude, we have to work hard. There is no option for failure. I'm just going to go ahead and figure it out. It's not necessarily optional not to have that attitude when you're faced with life and death and you're defending your teammates, right? And you're dealing with the most difficult of situations. It makes a lot of sense that that's sort of the mental model that people are working from. I think that, one of the themes that Randy and I have been trying to share with all of the civilian real estate agents and loan officers listening to our show is, where does that come from? Where does that emanate from? For you, because they don't have military experience. I don't have military experience. Where can we draw from that experience to apply in our own mentalities? We wake up and approach our day during a COVID crisis. We have to shift and pivot our business. We have to become creative and do new things we've never done. That mental fortitude, has to be conjured up. And I think in Jocko's book, he talks a lot about this, right? And he puts his feet on the floor at 4:30 in the morning every day, and he does this exercise, and he's got this mental fortitude that, I struggle with every single day. Can you give us, maybe some sort of advice here on, if you don't have that incredible story of firsthand extreme ownership in your own personal life, if you haven't come from difficulty, I very much resonate with your story. I'm from an impoverished farm town in the middle of Missouri, right? An immigrant family. We all have something to draw from. But if people don't have a tough story and, they're comfortable right now, but they need some motivation, what could you tell them about how to form their own mental fortitude during this process if they have no extreme ownership stories to rely on?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you have to be able to go back to your basis. So it's going to be a culture change because you have to work to change yourself. And I think education is a big piece of this. So one of the pieces of this is learn everything you can. I mean, since I'm in the process of my 5th degree right now, every one of them has been while I'm working at least full-time or more with at least one job, some jobs 2. Some a full-time job plus and running my own business on the side and trying to finish nuclear engineering degree. So it's like it all comes back to making it happen and you wanting to do it. And if you don't think there's people around you, if you don't have people in your immediate area that you can go try to share experiences with, just try to start soaking that in. I would really challenge you to go, look at some of these nonprofits. There's some rough thumb rules that say about 30% of the American society survives off the gifts and graciousness of nonprofits. So it's a very large swath of people. You're talking about 100 million people that rely on nonprofits to survive and to make their world work. So find some of those around you. And, this attitude of service is, one of the things I say is on all my thank you notes, I hand sign them all to our donors. And I let them know that it really matters. Your donation values. Thank you for choosing to make a difference because they chose to reach into their wallet. They had listened. We had some kind of interaction with them. And, like any sales piece, it's like you have all these impressions, but how do you get that impression to go to the next level? And in my case, I need to emotionally stir these people enough that they reach for their wallet. They decide to make this commitment. And I don't want to do it through used car salesman techniques and tactics. I want to do this through just emitting my passion and then showing how 85% of the dollars that come here, get in the hands and pockets and mouths and bellies of military families. How we do all this with 11 people. How we're able to grow a program that changes the financial behaviors a year post intervention for 90% of the people that go through the program. How we built a program who we give away free money. Every year we give out $250,000, $300,000 to military families' creditors. And every one of those military families know they can come back for more free money, but 98% do not. They don't come back for more free money because they got it from here and they want to make it work. I share that with them and I share that passion with them and they want to get inspired. So all those people that don't think there's that stuff going on, you're wrong. And I ask that you get out in your community and find something. You might not be passionate about military families. There's all kinds of underserved groups out there that could benefit from a concerned citizen wanting to interact at any level and just getting engaged and going with it.
That's so relevant right now, Tony, to our real estate agent audience. We talked yesterday with Mary Maloney, Navy veteran and top producing listing agent. We're about to talk tomorrow with the CEO of GoMilly.com, Ken Robinson. And we've all been having this conversation about authenticity first generates and emanates this magnetized energy of the right people and clientele to you, right? I think far too often in real estate, people want to shout their brand so hard and they're trying too hard. And instead they should look internally and see, what are you passionate about? I encourage all of our agents listening and to get passionate about something as much as Tony has, right? So see how contagious it is when he's talking genuinely from a place of wanting to serve others, how magnetized it, how people listening to this call just want to donate simply because of this message that we're hearing that's coming from a group of authentic people. The same goes for sales with our real estate agents, right? When we want to attract clients, just being ourselves and empowering that and letting other people see what we care about, what we're passionate about, will draw a very large audience to you, and the right audience, because not everyone should work with everyone else. You shouldn't be all things to everyone else. Step can't serve every type of person, although we'd love to. Everyone has their niche. Everyone has a group that they're passionate about serving, and a way to get there is up to you, right? And taking extreme ownership and really deciding what that means and doing something about it is all it takes to make a first step in the right direction. And I think Tony's done that. I've watched you do this over the years, Tony, with this organization. It's become one of the most flourishing organizations in all of Southern California, and we have a massive military population here that serves America. And for that to have occurred, and for you to be so connected politically and to decision makers and Congress is incredibly important work. What you've done with that organization is changed in lives and left a legacy of impact on policy and process that will really forever endure. And I just can't thank you enough, Tony, for what you've done, what you've shared both with all of the local communities and individuals that you've served, and what you've done for us today in our business. We're so proud to have you today.
Yes, very much so.
So proud.
Let me give one more quick, since this is a live show. Sandra Javel says, just donated. Thank you for creating such a wonderful program. My brother is in the Navy, and the military is a huge part of our family's lives. You have my support. So
thank you so much, Sandra. It means so much to us.
How fun is this?
Thank you.
Tony, I know we got off track a little bit. I know you were kind of transitioning into the next phase of your career. One of the things that I love is, you're presented with a challenge or an opportunity and you're like, I got this, right? So, why don't we wrap this up a little bit and sort of give your final message to our agents? And you touched on it at the beginning, and it was really great, sort of these 4 pillars, but why don't you help us bring it home here for today's show?
Yeah. And I guess that's similar to Wessal's question. I was working at Booz Allen. I needed to get ahead. I needed to shine a little bit. I saw a volunteer posting. They were looking for a long-term strategy planner to help with a local nonprofit that helped military families. I'm like, well, I understand what it's like to be in a military family. I need some brownie points. I can make this work. And I had to go, read 5 or 6 more books on the difference between nonprofit strategies. And I got in there and I helped the board. I led them to their strategy, and they asked me to help execute it. So I said I would. And then they asked me to join the board, and I said I would. And then pretty soon that nonprofit kind of started going sideways, getting away from military families. And I had to make the decision whether we wanted to go that way or a different way. And we left that nonprofit. We created STEP, and we said, we're going to help military families. And they all said, good. Hey, Tony, by the way, you've started up businesses. You're in charge of our strategy. You could be chairman of the board. I said, all right, I'll do it. And in my speech at USD, I was talking about, I really kind of hit this reflective moment where my president had resigned. I had just gotten remarried, which I ended up getting divorced after my house burned down in the wildfires. And I'd lost my business in 2008. So it was like wildfires in 2007, divorced in 2008, lost my business in 2009. And this was kind of 4 or 5 years after that, and piecing my life back together, still living in my trailer. And while I was in the trailer, still new house under construction, I went and told Jackie, I said, you know what? I said, I need to quit this Booz Allen job and go lead STEP full time. And I really kind of jumped in with both feet there. And that commitment on my part really gave me the time and energy, and it's been able to help me not just build a business that works and employ people, but it's helped, tens of thousands of individuals get a hold of their financial realm. We've stopped 500 and something evictions at this point. Wow. Which is more than most other agencies that actually have that as a full-time, focus. But that realization, that moment where my past was colliding with my present, I saw and realized in these military families, I saw the looks on their faces. I saw the kids. That was me. I saw the parents. Those were my parents. I saw the young service members that just were getting out, and that's me.
Yeah.
It's like, we can change this. It doesn't need to be this way. And working hard to create a program that that bridges together 5 social work modes to some of my Booz Allen change management tactics, and creating that, just building a program that worked and never being happy with the 75%, the 80%, the 90%. And we got into this habit where every year we'll look at the effects of the program a year post intervention, and whatever we see went awry there, let's bring that back into today's program and continue to change it. Mm-hmm. So it's this idea of ownership, and doing the best you can, and it's not giving up, and it's not being a workaholic, and it's not, I'm still a servant leader. I still carve out time for my family, but I'm able to make all these things balanced. And I think we're one of the few families that TV time is actually, our TV time in our house was very minimal before COVID, and I think it's less now. But the other night, I wrote a giant paper on Sunday night. So Monday night, I watched a movie by myself, and it was Friday Night Lights. The idea in there of winning, and I forgot how Billy Bob Thornton talked about it, but
yeah,
you can walk away knowing you didn't leave anything on the table, and you gave it everything you had. Win, lose, or draw, you can put that smile on your face when you throw that football away that last time, and say, I did it. And they didn't win. I don't know. Sorry, spoiler alert, but they gave all they had, and you know what? They all walked away, and that's life. So that time that we have, let's just not leave anything on the table. Billy Joe called in earlier and she's talking about being a gold star mother or family member. I missed that. Sorry. But that's losing a family member in the military service is huge. And there was a time where my mom there's a Blue Star family too, which is you have active duty service members. My mom she was a 2 Blue Star. My brother and myself were both in the military at the same time for some overlapping period. And we were both deployed overseas, kind of it's never safe on a submarine, and he was flying C-130s back and forth to the Middle East. So it's just, she was like a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
And I see that in these families today. So I can come back to these families and see how I'm changing their life. And I know I won't be doing this forever. There's a next chapter for me, just like, there's chapters and parts and to all these different books out there. But if people can engage at that level of extreme ownership, working hard, learning everything you can, not giving up, seizing opportunities as they get in front of you. That's how America was built. Those are the people that came to this country to build it. And I think we need to get back to that. I think we'd be a better place if we had more people with those attitudes, just out there trying to make it a better place. So, if it's in people's heart today and they want to help these military families, we're looking for support. We're looking for, all kinds of different things. And our website has that information. My email address is on there. My cell phone number's on all my business cards. I'm the easiest CEO to reach around. I love having a discussion, but what I've seen by offering that is a lot of people come to me wanting to start other businesses, wanting to start nonprofits, learning how to do this, learning how to do that. And I really enjoy spending time with people with that, because I know the result of it is for that better community. And, I ask people, what are you doing to make your community like the one you want your kids to grow up in?
Yeah.
So to me, that's ownership of your community.
Yeah. Tony, beautifully said. Great way to wrap the program. Tony, thank you so much for your time. I'll give one last late breaking comment here, which is Denise. She's actually on our team. She said just donated. So we've got another donation,
amazing.
And I'm sure others are going to come in. So
Thank
I'm
you,
sure you'd
Denise.
like to thank Tony for his time. And Tony, thank you for your service as well, of course.
Tony, inspirational leader. You've given me so much personal advice and guidance in my own career as an executive, as a leader over the years. I thank you so much for that and for the lasting impact you make on anyone who interacts with you. I definitely encourage people to take you up on contacting the organization and learning more. There's a lot to learn from everyone at Steph, including
Absolutely.
Kathy, our amazing social caseworker who supports these families that come to your office every day, with just dire circumstances. It's tremendous the work you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing your personal story with us today, for bringing this organization to the attention of our massive agent user base, because they are local members of their communities. Our agents pride themselves on being pillars of their community. And so I know that they love these types of informationals. And so we really appreciate you sharing and educating our user base today, Tony. Thank you so much for coming on.
Why don't you say goodbye to our agents for today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, well, thanks, Randy. Thank you, ListReports, for the donation. Thanks, Wessal. And yeah, thanks to everybody out there. Definitely appreciate any donation to support, but thanks for the time and listening. And 2020, 2021 are expansion years for STEP. So if you see us coming to a town near you, it's the same STEP. We'll be looking forward to seeing you there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tony.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Wessal, we went way long today, but I think it was completely worth it. So,
I mean, how could you ever cut that content off? I just couldn't stop. I can't. I could listen to him all day long.
It's great. And watching the donations come in, and we learned how to salute properly, which was really fantastic.
You did.
So, what a great show. So, very briefly before we wrap up, tomorrow we've got Ken Robbins coming on. He's the CEO and co-founder of Go Millie, and a 20-year Army veteran appointed by President Obama as an Army fellow, a West Point grad, just a really varied and amazing background and a direct connection to real estate and helping military families relocate. So I'm excited for that, right, Wessal? He's going to be great.
Yes, it's so exciting. And his inspiration and part of his extreme ownership stories are his wife, who is a top producing real estate agent herself. So I cannot wait to hear the dynamic between the two of them. It'll be a great story tomorrow for us.
That's going to be fun. All right, with that, Wessal, maybe we should salute to end the show. Why don't we salute?
We should. Thank you so much to everyone who's donated, for your support, for watching and listening in. We thank you so much for being of service to your own community. This is so tremendous. We love being around this type of energy. Thank you for everything. We salute you today.
Are you ready, Randy? You ready, Wessal? And
yeah, 1, 2, 3. Did we do it?
I hope we did. We'll see how it looks on the video. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.